Your Japanese colleague asks if he can borrow 10,000 yen. What do you say? Mark-san, 1万円貸してくれよ。ちょっと。If you understood that exchange, congratulations. You heard the note that was never spoken. If you didn't, you may be conversationally fluent but socially unprepared, because in Japanese, no often isn't a word. It's something you build, layer by layer. Let's build the first layer. Your Japanese colleague asks to borrow 10,000 yen. Not a huge sum, but something you can't swing on a short notice. You don't reject them or invite an argument. You simply give them room to retreat. ちょっと. One word, one breath, one troubled smile, one tilt of the head. For most Japanese speakers, that's enough. And notice I never said no. But my body language is unmistakable. In English, we like to make our position perfectly clear. In Japanese, you want to make your position clear enough without cornering the other person. Hi, I'm Mark. I've spent 40 years living in Japan and received the Japan Foreign Minister's Prize for Japanese language ability. And along the way, I have made every mistake in the book, including nearly getting fired from my job when millions of dollars were on the line, all because I didn't know how to say no in Japanese. That story coming up. But first, we gotta raise the stakes a little bit more. This time it's not your colleague, it's your cousin. He's hit a rough patch, and you're out for beers, and suddenly he asks if he can borrow 100,000 yen. You're just barely keeping your nose above water, but you don't want to hurt the relationship either. Layer one's not going to be enough, so you build on it. Mark-san, 10万円貸してくれませんか? Did you catch what happened? I didn't replace ちょっと. I added another layer. 難しい literally means difficult. But it's not about the money. It's about what it would do to the relationship. You're saying, that would put me in a difficult position. You never say no. But the refusal becomes clearer without becoming harsher when we add another layer. Now let's raise the stakes one more time. Your biggest client. And he needs 1,000,000 yen. Now there are two relationships on the line. A personal one and a business one. You don't want to lend the money for any number of legitimate reasons, but you also don't want to embarrass someone you're counting on to be your customer next month. 社長、100万円貸していただけませんか? ちょっと難しいですね。じゃあ、考えておきます。Now we've added a third layer. Not because we've changed our mind, but because the relationship matters even more. 考えておきます means I'll think about it for now. Better translated as let me think about it. Sometimes people really do mean that they'll think about it, but don't listen only to the words. Watch what happens next. If the conversation continues with things like 検討してみます, or they ask for questions about timing, or they need more information, etc., your request is landed. But if the subject just quietly disappears, 考えておきます wasn't about thinking. It was a layer 3 refusal about ending the discussion without ending the relationship. Let me show you how I nearly messed that one up big time. Years ago, a customer was asking me for a number that could have cost me my job if I revealed it, and then our chief executive ordered me to call him back. I was working at Panasonic's disk drive factory in rural Shikoku, and we were badly behind on a disk drive that was being used in our biggest customer's flagship model. Every good drive coming off that line was being flown out at enormous cost, and the customer's Japan office was demanding to know our production yield, which is the percentage of drives coming off the line that actually worked. That number was disastrous. It was top secret and absolutely not mine to release. But they kept calling me, and I stopped answering. Finally, my name echoed across the entire factory compound. Mark-san, report to the CEO's office immediately. Uh-oh. The CEO, Mr. Tokuda, cleared everyone out of his office, sat me down, told me he'd gotten a call from the customer's exec and that I needed to tell him what was going on. He listened calmly to my panicked explanation, then picked up a phone, handed it to me, and said, call him right now. And when he asks again, you say these exact words. Mark-san, この情報はうちの幹部が依頼されてますので、どうぞよろしくお願いします。はい。前向きに考えさせていただきます。The customer thanked me, hung up, never asked about it again. I looked at Tokuda-san. He was laughing quietly. It was that easy. Think about what he had shown me how to say. Not no, not it's against policy, not even I'll think about it. What he really showed me how to do was deliver the deluxe package. 前向きに考えさせていただきます。Juice up the front end with 前向きに positively, jack up the back end with humility させていただく, and the sentence becomes almost ceremonially polite. Allow me the honor of considering it positively. The extra language wasn't concealing the answer. We both knew it was no. It was protecting a multi-million-dollar business relationship and saving me my job. Because one difficult conversation should never destroy a relationship you'll likely need tomorrow, with someone you'll likely run into tomorrow. And the higher the stakes, the more the layers. Not because the decision is less clear, but because the refusal has more work to do. I've thrown a link in the description to my on-screen cheat sheet, the 3 layers of no in case you ever get in a jam. Hey, if you're still here, I know there's a reason it ain't my pretty face. Maybe you've got a question or a story. How you ran a red light in Japanese or another language. This is your channel too. We'd be thrilled to hear from you in comments. And if you like this story, check out another of my Drive Factory adventures because sometimes the most important Japanese is not the word that was spoken, but it's the door that was left open after the conversation ended. Thanks for watching.